Hi, what can I get for you?
One large hot hazelnut coffee with cream and sugar, and 2 old-fashioned donuts. That'll be it.
Alrighty. That's $6.96 the window.
Thank you. Coffee. And we're gonna need it because today in the bed of the truck we have a non-running Honda Elite, and it did run last year. I'm assuming it's just gonna need a carb clean, and when you do just a carb clean on a Honda Elite, Honda did not design these things to be user-friendly in that way. So we're gonna get it home, take a look at it, and get the carb out. This will be a good one. Hey everybody, welcome back to 10 Foot Customs. Just disregard everything around this project. So, this is a week after I picked it up. I picked it up last Sunday, but I've just been busy and haven't had time to actually get to it. So, today we're going to work on it. I have not even gotten into it. This is the first time I'm going to put a key in it to see what it even does. The customer complaint is, it was running good last year. It doesn't run this year. I'm 99.9% sure it is going to be just a carb clean issue. But these carbs are not easy to get to. So I will show you how to get to them the easiest way. I'm sure there's multiple ways of doing it. This is the easiest way I found. I've probably worked on 2 or 3 dozen of these things, and it's just the easiest that I've done. So I'll get the key and we'll fire it up. Not a thing. Okay. Which is to be expected. That's what they were saying it was doing. There's a couple things it could be that wouldn't be that. If the kill switch had gone bad, it would shut down spark, but possibly still crank. Some manufacturers allow, with the kill switch in the off position, for it to crank. Let's see. This one does. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if this kill switch is in the on or off position, it'll still crank, which I'm not a huge fan of. If it's in the off position, don't have a crank. That way I'm not trying to figure out why my bike won't start, because I'm an idiot and the kill switch is in the off position. But let's test the theory. That felt good. Okay, Honda Elite. This back panel, with removal of a screw, I think it's one screw. The back panel then comes off. You have to remove this front piece as well, which is a big thumb screw up front. It's hot today. I mean, for me anyway. And there we go. Front panel's off. Pretty much as simple as that is. Screw down. Back end little piece pulls off. Handle, and there you are, full side of the bike wide open. To confirm that it is just a carb issue, key is on, kill switch is in the wrong position, it cranks. Tried for a second. And then it quits, which means that the idle jet is completely clogged. So let's get into removing what we can. So we're gonna remove this one completely and make sure everything inside's right. So we're gonna do the same thing on this side. We're going to pop the body panel off. There it is. Slide it out. We're going to remove the exhaust and take the rear wheel off. That gives us better access to the bolt back here. 12 mil, I do believe if I'm correct, it's a 12 mil. We've got two 10s that hold the exhaust to, well, the fender to the exhaust. And then you got two 10s that hold the header to the engine. Up and out of the way. It's part of the evap system. We'll just get it so it's movable. Yeah, I missed one. There's one down lower. Be sure not to lose this little exhaust gasket thing here. Don't lose that. Got our 24mm on crush. Remove the rear wheel. Now if we go to the other side, we'll get this fender out of the way completely because it's just kind of in the way at this point. Just a 10 mil on that side.
He does not like Crush.
Oh, does Crush scare him? Who? Which one? Mazda?
Willie.
Oh, Crush scared Willie. Willie's the cat, not one of my kids. Take out this 10. And the fender comes out. So that pretty much gives us full access all the way around the carburetor. We've got this power line here, which is to the auto choke, which we'll remove. We've got our fuel inlet line here, which there is a vacuum line here. This is the vacuum line off of the intake boot to cause the vacuum tap, which is the fuel tap, to open and close. So when the engine's not running, fuel isn't flowing. Shouldn't be flowing. If it is, you have a bad vacuum tap, that would have to be replaced as well. So we can find that out right now. Okay. A little bit of fuel dripping, but that's just coming out of the filter. So, which means our tap isn't stuck open, which is a good thing. Tuck that up out of the way so it doesn't keep dripping. We will find our power line to our auto choke. Go into this little boot here. Pull those out. There we go. Clips open. Cord is out. Okay, so auto choke is out. Air filter is disconnected. So now we will loosen up this little clamshell, which is in 8, I do believe. Okay, so we're going to remove this little 8 mil on top of this clamshell. Okay, 8 mils out. Clamshell out of the way. Remove this vent line. Will allow me to do that. There we go. Vent line's off. Vent line. I keep calling it a vent line. It's not a vent line. It is a vacuum line. Big difference, actually. There we go. Complete clamshell's off. So basically, this just goes around like that and gives this boot some support. Again, I'm not 100% sure why. Very few. Most of those I work on have anything like this. Once that bolt with that clamshell is out of the way, you can then get these 10s loose. You have to use an open end because they're so close to the boot here on both sides. But that clamshell is what doesn't allow you to actually loosen these to get the carb off of the manifold, the intake manifold. So that's what we're going to do now. We'll get a 10 open end and see if we can get them to come loose. Usually once you get them break free, you can actually thread them out by hand normally. We'll hopefully that's the case with this one. Nice. So that did come off nice and easy. Usually they do. Go to the other side. This is why having the wheel out of the way makes a big help, because it is almost impossible to get any kind of a wrench in here to get this one free with the wheel. And you've also got, you can't take it off. That's completely unscrewed and it hits the boot. Again, why that clamshell is, the clamshell makes it even less room to be able to get this out of here. So what you gotta do is you gotta loosen them both up and then keep sliding it back. Loosen, slide back, loosen, slide back, and then eventually you can get the nuts off. Like that. There we go, that was close. So with those loose, okay, we'll also undo our throttle linkage. This throttle linkage is off. Carburetor goes right out. We have a drain for the carburetor here, which just pop off. And there's our carburetor. So now we'll do a quick cleaning on it and hopefully she'll fire up. So there is another possibility of why this isn't running, even though it has fuel and it has spark. There's a chance that the float needle itself is stuck. And we can check that very simply. There is a small screw on the float bowl right there. And if we crack it open, you'll see if fuel comes out of it. And fuel does come out, which means it's getting fuel. So we know it's getting fuel into the float chamber, and all that should be working just fine. So that really does just leave it the fact that we have a clogged idle jet. We'll take the float bowl off, and if you've seen my other video where Katie and I do her buddy, it's a very similar process. We have the choke circuit, which is this tube sticking up here, which I'll check to make sure there's nothing clogged in that. Honestly, this has been cleaned before. So this was really bad at one point. This is our idle circuit, and this is our main jet. But this has been in a bad way before, and you can kind of tell. The reason I can tell is Focus. See all this pitting around this edge? And over in here, all of this pitting is, all that pitting is signs that this was really bad at one time, and the corrosion, it was actually eating away at the aluminum housing. It's not bad. I mean, it cleaned up and it's fine. It's not going to hurt it. But this deck, so someone's been in here before. Actually, you can see there's corrosion on the brass has actually been eaten away as well. So at one point, this was in really bad shape. Someone cleaned it up really well. And I can blow through it. I can blow through it, but I can't see through it, which means there's probably just a flap of goo in there. Artichoke's working just fine. That just not. Again, I can't see through it, so. Let me put a wire, and I say that because you'll hear all the time, never, ever, ever put a wire through the jet, because you'll end up scratching the jet and damaging it. It's very strange that that is a very common thing to say when K&L sells their carb cleaning tool and it's a whole bunch of wires. If you're careful with a wire of the appropriate size, I'm not saying, you know, these holes are tiny. These holes are very, very, very tiny. You're talking probably a millimeter, maybe less than a millimeter for this one. Again, every carb is different as far as how much fuel it needs. But this one's probably less than a millimeter as far as the hole diameter goes. Don't try drilling it out with a, 1/8" bit. You're going to ruin it completely. The K&L tool that, their carb cleaning tool, is probably 6-8 wires, and they're all different sizes. And you get the smallest one you can, and you start with that one and get it through there and clean it out. Go up to the next one if you can. A lot of times with these small single cylinder scooters, the smallest wire is the only one that fits. You can't get a bigger wire in, and you clean it out as best you can so you can look up into the light and see through it, and it should be a nice, perfectly round hole. If it's oblong in shape, then it's not clean all the way. So I'm going to get a wire that's small, run it through there, clean it out a little bit, make sure I can see through it, and we'll put it back in the carburetor, and we'll reinstall everything back into the bike. Idle jet is clean. Drop that back in there. Make sure you snug it down. You don't have to go crazy, just a little bit of a snug. Like that. Main jet is definitely clear. And that's it. We will hope that that has solved our problem. Everything else looks to be how it should be. Reassemble, reverse of how we took it apart. And we'll do that right now. And we'll just do it in like a fast forwardy, cool little thing. It'll go and it'll be done. Make sure before you go and reassemble this that there's no ring right here. Make sure this is in good shape, not broken, not cracked, not missing. That would make a gigantic air leak that would cause this not to run very well. One other thing we're going to check really quick on this is make sure, I know the fuel tap isn't flowing, which means it's closed, there's no vacuum from the engine, but do I know it's opening? I don't know. So if I take the vacuum line that came off of the intake manifold and I pull a vacuum on it, if this opens up and pours fuel, then I know that part of it's working as well. Which it does, it works just fine. So in theory, we should have this all put back together here and working knowing that it was just a dirty idle jet. Like a dummy, I just put the exhaust on without putting the rear wheel on. I guess I can now test it to make sure it works, and then put the rear wheel on. A couple of things I want to make sure that you remember that to do. One, make sure you don't forget to plug your auto choke back in. Very important. You go back into this little boot over here. They're color coded. Don't make sure you don't miss the gasket on your exhaust, and if it's in bad shape, replace it. This is all on. I turn the key. Seems to be running very good. It's idling on its own at this point, which is good. I'll pop the exhaust, I'll just loosen the exhaust up on the back, put the rear wheel back on, and we'll put the body panels back on, and we'll take it for a quick ride. Only semi-tricky part about this is where your key to pop the seat open is, and if you don't line this up right, you won't be able to pop your seat open. Not the big deal, you just take the panel back off. But this is where it goes to right here. See it flipping this in. So you just gotta kind of make sure when you're putting this panel in that you align this properly. Not difficult, just if you miss it, you miss it. Riding without a helmet is not an option. We always ride with helmets. Runs good. Had it up to just shy of 40. It's only an 80, so it's really not gonna do much more than that. But that'll wrap it up for this episode. I'm gonna get this back to the customer, and there's a carb clean on a Honda Elite 80. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. And thank everybody who does watch. I appreciate it greatly.